Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is Gabe.
And my name is Jeff.
And we're going to answer your questions today. But first, I have a question. Jeff.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. As you know.
Yeah, as I know.
As you know, we had our first big snow of like southern Michigan.
Yeah. And it's bad.
And it was pretty nasty. It started like, I want to say like 4 a.m. Night before last.
Mm-hmm.
And, ended last night.
Yeah.
At probably around like 2 a.m. or something like that. It was just snowing constantly.
Yeah.
And like it started off kind of subtle, and I was like looking at the forecast, and it's like light snow throughout the day. I was like, okay, it's going to be snow.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be that bad. But then it just started coming down and down and down.
Started coming down, yeah.
Ooh. I mean, it's like we live in a place where this happens every year, and you're always never quite ready for it.
I mean, yes, we do get snow every year,
mm-hmm.
but I feel like we never get a huge snowfall this early in November.
Sure. And like I keep hearing like predictions and stuff that like this year is going to be more snow heavy than it is cold heavy.
I guess I'm fine with that.
I feel like I don't know. It's a toss up because like I feel like last year it was pretty cold.
Yeah.
But there was like maybe only a handful of snowstorms.
Sure.
The year before that, I want to say was like there was like a couple crazy big storms that I can remember. I just remember when it was the year before last, I think, where I was still driving at my job, and there was just a really bad snowstorm, and I just remember like in a truck driving through snow.
Yeah.
And like I don't know where the lanes are.
Right.
I'm just kind of going, and I'm in a truck, so people kind of have to like they have to put up with me because I'm not, I don't know where the lane is. Sorry, I'm going to stay in the middle so I don't swerve and hit the the guardrail or something. So, yeah, I hate driving in snow.
Yeah, so everybody out there, drive safe.
Yeah, drive safely.
Wherever you are.
Right.
Even if you are in one of the lucky places that doesn't have snow.
Yeah.
In which case I'm glaring at you through the microphone right now. But still, drive safe. It sucks.
So yeah, it's just be cautious.
Yeah. Just one thing that maybe is a little bit more positive. As of this recording today, Disney Plus launched.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So there's seems to be a lot of good stuff on there.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's a few things on there that I could see myself actually watching. Like I have not watched much of The Simpsons.
Oh yeah.
Like my parents didn't want me to watch it. I think it was my mother.
You were in one of those households.
I don't know because like it's one of those things, and because like when I grew up, my mother didn't want me watching The Simpsons, and then like Steve, I knew like I think his like dad didn't want him to watch the Ninja Turtles.
Oh.
And so we had like there were like things that like each other weren't allowed to watch, but like the other one was. And
Sure.
so like there was like this sort of weird like
you're able to tell each other about.
I mean, like one would have references to one thing, and we'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
One of you would be like cowabunga, and the other would be like, eat my shorts.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, so there's a little overlap there, isn't there?
A little bit.
So. Yeah, we'd both be like cowabunga, but we would be thinking completely different things.
Okay, okay.
So, but yeah, so part of me was like, well, maybe I can go and like watch some of The Simpsons, but I don't know that I would actually. I don't know if I'd actually sit and watch it though. Like I'd have to. It'd be something I'd put on in the background, maybe.
Sure. That's what we plan on using it for.
Right.
You want to go ahead and get into this episode?
No, more talk about Disney Plus. That is, Disney is our entertainment overlords. We must praise them.
Disclaimer, I probably will have cut out most of us talking about
Never.
Disney Plus. All right, so Jeff, I want you to imagine the weather has gotten a bit worse lately.
Okay.
And as tends to happen, your immune system's a bit weaker. You wake up one day and you've got like a bit of a cold. You've got a cough, you're congested, maybe it's the flu, who knows. So you go into your doctor. And, you're sitting in the exam table, the doctor, he puts a thing, looks at puts a little depress on your tongue, tells you to say, looks in your ear.
My tongue's very depressed right now.
Well, especially now, yeah. And so, he asks you about your symptoms. You're describing them. You notice that your doctor is particularly tall. Your doctor your doctor isn't a dermatologist, but probably has like a skin condition because his skin is it's greenish kind of, and it's kind of scaly. His breath smells particularly bad, but the doctor writes you a prescription.
I'm sorry. It's just these scenarios are getting more and more absurd now when you think about it. I was like, where do I live that I'm just surrounded by?
Hey, the world is getting a lot more inclusive. You have that neighbor that's a dragon.
Right.
You both went out jogging that one time.
Are they the same dragon just dressing up as different things?
Roll a d20, Jeff.
Okay. Well, let's see, like an insight check or something here.
Yep, go for it.
Is this just the same dragon? Oh, that's a 13?
It might be. You're not sure. So anyway, the doctor writes you a prescription.
It's like one's got a mustache.
Exactly. One of them has 2 mustaches. So you get a prescription from your doctor, and you notice that this has instructions to go to a specific pharmacy. I guess your pharmacy, the one that you usually go to, doesn't carry this medication.
Okay.
So anyway, you follow the instructions or whatever that are on because apparently this prescription has instructions on how to get to the pharmacy on it.
Right.
But
I get a text that tells me the address.
There you go. And so you follow the instructions, and before you know it, you're in like a dark cave. But you see ahead of you see like some flickering lights, and the lights are reflecting off of a giant pile of what appears to be gold coins.
Ooh.
And so you get in there, and then the pharmacist, who is also particularly large, may very well be the same individual. Right. Who knows? Maybe we'll reveal that in a future Dragon's Horde. But you recognize the pharmacy is the Dragon's Horde pharmacy.
It's got like the Horde has the little like cross on it for the prescription.
You got it.
Thing.
You got it. All right. So today's Dragon's Horde entry was submitted by Potato Plunderer via email. You may be seeing more of Potato Plunderer as this episode goes on.
I mean, who doesn't like potatoes?
Sure. So this item is actually a pretty simple one. It is the Elixir of Health.
Oh.
This is a potion, and it is a rare potion in particular. And the description goes as follows. When you drink this potion, it cures any disease afflicting you, and it removes the blinded, deafened, paralyzed, and poisoned conditions. The clear red liquid has tiny bubbles of light floating in it.
Ooh.
And that's the whole description. So it's a consumable. We don't really have a lot of consumables on the Dragon's Horde very often. So I thought this could make a nice change.
Because there's that whole thing with consumables that when you have it, you don't want to use it just in case you need it. So it's like, well, something like this is like, yeah, this is really useful because like if you get a nasty disease or something, poison, what have you, you can get rid of it. But like, it's like, well, all right, I'm diseased, but it's not that bad. Like, it's fine. It's fine. But what if I get like a worse disease tomorrow? Then I'll drink the potion. Now that's interesting. Is blinded, deafened conditions. Now, would that also include just like a natural blindness?
Ooh. Like, well, I mean,
the blinded.
Do you have eyes? I guess.
Well,
I guess.
Well,
I guess the question has to be asked: are you normal? Like,
right. I feel like
where's the blindness coming from?
Well, yeah. So I mean, like if you were just born blind, you have eyes, but you were born blind or something like that. Would it cure your blindness?
Yeah. I mean, I would be inclined to say yeah.
Maybe like
it's magic after all.
So like if you came across a like blind NPC or something like that, you can give it to them or something like that. It's just use it as a plot item or a role playing item instead. Like you can. Curing the blind, like who wouldn't be grateful after that? You could use that in a...
That could be a plot hook.
Yeah.
You get this thing that's able to cure the village blind person or whatever, but then...
Like the king's blind daughter or something.
Sure.
Who knows? But like something that something that seems simple can be used. Not, you can use it in a ton of different ways.
Yeah.
Or you can just keep it in your bag
and then never use it.
Because what if you need it later?
Sure. And this is noteworthy because the lesser restoration spell, is a spell that exists. I think you might even be able to get potions of lesser restoration, but lesser restoration only removes one thing. So it removes one disease, one poison, one condition, essentially.
But this is just sort of like a
kind of all of them.
Wipes.
So when you encounter a Malboro in the Omega dungeon and it hits you with bad breath and you get like all those conditions, just one potion, bam, they're all done.
Wait, is this a Final Fantasy thing?
I mean, I'm making it a Final Fantasy thing. I'm referring to the Malboro monster that uses the bad breath attack, which gives you like every status effect.
Right.
And the Omega Dungeons is from Final Fantasy X.
Even the frog?
I think so.
Oh, yeah?
I could be wrong. I think bad breath does turn you into a frog. I could maybe in some of them at least.
Wait, is it like the giant like plant thing?
Yeah, it's like a giant tentacle. It's like a big mouth. It's like an Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors.
That's what I'm picturing. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Jeff. Typical in a typical D&D game,
mm-hmm.
you find a potion of Cure Light Wounds or whatever, a healing potion.
Right.
What does it look like to you? In your mind, what does a healing potion look like?
Well, to me, it looks like the healing potions from Neverwinter Nights. So
okay.
it's just like a plain, it's like a fairly plain bottle of like a pale bluish green liquid.
Sure. I picture it the same way, and I think it is because of Neverwinter Nights.
Yeah.
I never thought of it like that.
It's just like the icons, for them. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people refer to healing potions as being like a red liquid, which is what this one is. This is a clear red liquid with bubbles of light in it.
Mm-hmm. Red as well, just because like plenty of other games use red for the potion, because like the red bar usually indicates the life bar.
Yeah.
And so you tie the health potions to the red bar by making it red. But like when I think of a potion, a health potion in D&D, it is the potions from Neverwinter Nights.
Yeah. I just want to say, like, DMs out there, please give descriptions to your potions. I think that giving a potion a description is one of the coolest things you can do.
Yeah.
It immediately, even if it doesn't directly tell the players what it is, then it's still something really, really cool. Like a potion of stone skin could very well be, it looks like liquid stone. And you drink liquid stone and you become stone or whatever.
Sure.
That could be. Potion of stone could be like a potion of regenerate or something like that, because I don't know, it doesn't really have to be
it doesn't
related,
have to be tied to
as long as it's consistent, do whatever you want. But I still think that even giving a description of a potion that doesn't give an indication of what the potion is still really cool, because then it's like, oh man, do we have any of those that liquid stone anymore? Give me one of those. I want to try it. I love that.
Yeah, like finding like a potion in a like a dungeon or something like that. It's like, there's a blue liquid and there was one that's a green liquid. And it's like, all right, is that the description? Okay, that's all right. Sure. All right, blue's probably good, green's probably bad because
I don't know, maybe
because freaking color stereotypes.
Green could be poison.
That's the color stereotypes.
Sorry,
your color profiling. Never mind.
So, I mean, there isn't really a ton to this potion, but I thought it would be a cool one to bring in because, like I said, we don't really have consumables very often. I also like the description, and it does something cool. I think it's neat that it doesn't give you hit points back. It just removes conditions.
Yeah, which can be really helpful. Because there's plenty of ways to get your hit points back, but like certain things like diseases and poisons.
Diseases and poisons that could be like immediate. Now, paralyzed, of course, I imagine you probably couldn't drink it yourself.
Somebody feed it to you.
Pour it down your throat, yeah.
Yep.
You got anything else about this one? Yeah. Like I said, it's pretty simple, but it's cool. Thank you very much, Potato Plunderer, for submitting that item. Jeff, if anybody wanted to join this potato individual here and submit some items for the Dragon's Horde, or questions for us to discuss, or stories for the Funeral Pyre, how would they get those to us?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com, or they can join us at our Interparty Discord at bit.ly/interpartydiscord.
That's correct. Before we go any further, we have a giveaway to give away today. Oh, shoot. Before I do that, let me just say thank you to Caitlin and Damien from Adventures in Aurelia from being on the show last week.
Oh, hey, yeah.
I always forget to thank our guests on the following episode.
Sure.
So better late than never. Thank you guys so much for coming on. It's great having them on.
It's been a week and 10 inches of snow ago.
True. I'm going to blame the snow.
Sure. So yes, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. It was great having you on. But anyway, so we have a giveaway to give away today. We're giving away a copy of Chapel on the Cliffs, courtesy of Goblinstone. Chapel on the Cliffs is a 5th edition adventure for a group of low-level PCs where they explore some spooky stuff and there's some evilness and whatnot. Jeff, you've run at least part of this adventure before, correct?
Yep. It's good. It's a good time. Like there's some interesting mechanics that they add in that the author has put in there, because like there's basically a mechanic in the game that if you ran it just as the player's handbook says, like all the players would just die.
Sure.
But so they're like, here's a different way to run it. It's a little bit more it's a little bit more involved, but it makes it so it's not like the players have a chance, you know.
Sure.
So like there can be some very nasty situations, but because the author went ahead and put in this new mechanic, it's manageable.
Okay, well, that's cool. So anyway, like I said, we're giving away a copy of this adventure today. And Jeff, who is our winner this week?
This week's winner is completely coincidentally Potato Plunderer.
Whoa, winner! Gobble. Yes, congratulations, Potato Plunderer. It is coincidental, but it is an indication that we are running low on people entering. So right. We need some more people to give this adventure to. So, everybody out there, if you have not entered this drawing, well, actually, sorry, I'll get to that in a second. So, Potato Plunderer, you should get this in your email pretty soon in the next few days. If you have not, let us know. They might be running a little bit late. It might be in your spam folder, something like that. And be sure to leave Goblinstone a review, because they can use your feedback to make sure that their future products are as good as possible. And, Jeff, if anybody wanted to enter this drawing, like Potato Plunderer here, if they would also like to win a copy of this adventure, how would they do so?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com with Chapel on the Cliffs in the subject line.
That is correct. Just go ahead and send us an email. We are running low, so...
What if I was wrong?
Oh, snap.
What if it's not correct? What if this whole time...
That's why we're running out, because
I keep messing it up.
Wrong way. All right. So anyway, thank you, Goblinstone, for giving this great adventure to our listeners, and hopefully we'll have some great people to give it to in the future. And then I want to thank all of our wonderful patrons for joining our Patreon. Patreon is an online platform you can pledge a certain amount of money to help out your favorite creator, the creator of your choice. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. We've got a few different tiers on there. We've got some outtakes. I actually haven't gotten any outtakes in a while. I should probably put some of those out.
Let me say some weird stuff.
Okay.
Mashed potatoes. I don't know. Sorry.
Well, spoilers for you, Jeff. That's going in the actual episode.
Oh no.
So we got some outtakes. We've got some fantasy fiction that I've written. I've written several. I've stopped writing them for now. I do still have one more patron fulfillment that I still have to write, but I've also started releasing them in audio format. So I've been going back and recording some of them and such. We've also got monthly bonus podcasts. We just put out an episode of that last week, I think, all about the game Dead by Daylight, which is a multiplayer horror game.
Oh yeah, I've never heard of that one.
It's pretty good. You should go and you should listen to the episode that we put out last week. So we had an episode all about that.
Played several hours of it over the weekend.
Yes. And then we also have a monthly Roll20 game, which I think is our next game is going to be happening the day that this episode goes out. So we're going to be trying to finish up the Lamplight Sanitarium adventure, or at least continuing it. We've got some cool stuff on our Patreon, patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. Go check that out. See if any of the rewards appeal to you. If so, you can help out the show and get some cool stuff in return. And then just one more quick thing. Check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. Check out Crit Academy at critacademy.com. Justin, Ian, and Brandon create new and reusable content for players and DMs alike. Check out Brute Force and Ignorance. That is an actual play podcast on the network as well. They just released the second part of their Druid's Lament adventure, which I think was like their Halloween thing. I don't think it was explicitly scary, but it was like a more serious game.
Sure.
I think is what that was. And then also check out D&D Character Lab. There are no more episodes being made, but all the other episodes are still out there for you to listen to. Garen and Dan made characters every week and pitted them against each other to debate whose is better.
Yeah.
Enough with all the admin. Let's get into this episode.
Our first question comes from Potato Plunderer.
What?
Again with this guy. Or it could be a lady potato plunderer.
Oh, you never know.
Yeah.
Potato Plunderess.
Oh, that's an awesome. That's a good name. Okay, this was on email. When should a DM give randomized loot over loot tailored to the party?
Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of DMs out there, there's probably a lot that do randomly roll for loot. There are other DMs that rather than rolling for loot, they sit down, they make a list of what loot they want to give out.
Yeah.
And, those are two different approaches. When should you do one over the other?
Well, off the bat, what I can think of for like a random loot, you would definitely want to do if like, so for like stuff that you're unprepared for, I guess.
Yep.
Because it's just easier that way. But
it's definitely faster.
The way I'm thinking about it is like the party wants to go off and go into a dungeon or like go into a cave or something that you weren't expecting them to, or I guess, or whatever. Or like the rogue goes off and tries to steal from some noble or something like that. And so I got to roll something for there to be like, it can't just be empty. There's got to be something,
sure.
but you also don't want it to be too good so that they keep doing it, I guess.
Yeah.
So like just some randoms, like, oh, you find a stack of silver and like a nice goblet or something,
Sure.
It's like you just randomly roll for that rather than, taking the time to come up with something that would be in there that might be interesting. But
sure. I want to say the Dungeon Master's Guide has charts for loot, like even for magical loot, but also for non-magical loot, like art and gems and stuff. I personally don't give randomized loot. I have on a couple occasions, but generally speaking, I do try to tailor it for the group. That's not to say that rolling randomly is bad. Like you were saying, it's if the players ever go off in a direction you weren't expecting, anytime you're unprepared, really, that's really when I think randomized loot is used primarily. If you're just like making a dungeon formulaically, and it's just, I rolled to see what monsters they're going to encounter. Okay, I'll roll to see what loot the monsters have.
Right. Although, even if you like kind of plan, if you're planning ahead what kind of treasure that you're giving to your players, depending on what it is, even if they go off in another direction, you can still give them that same stuff.
You could.
Like if it was like a specific like legendary weapon or something that is in this one temple and they heard about it, it's in this one temple, but then they go somewhere else. Don't just say like, oh, and that sword is also here because I need you to get this because it's part of the story.
Right.
No, like they'll get to it if they find it interesting, but yeah, if it was like, you're like, oh, well, okay, they're getting a little, my players, their characters are a little low on like the defensive side.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to throw a couple defensive items like a ring of protection or something in there.
Sure.
And you wanted to make sure that they got that even if they went off doing somewhere else. You're like, oh, and you find a small chest with some jewelry in it, and inside there's a magical, ring or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I've ever been in a game where I was a player and I got and I was sure that what I was getting was randomized loot. I'm trying to think, did I enjoy it or not? Because so the thing about randomized loot, kind of by definition, is that it's random. So it's not going to be tailored to the party. It's not going to be something that your character is specifically going to use. Doesn't mean it can't be. I know I've heard stories of players getting a random piece of loot and then really liking it, and then building their character around it. I do have some examples where I've used randomized loot, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So I could see someone, let's say their character uses a sword, but then they find, a trident of fish command or something like that. And then, maybe let me try using this trident for a little while. And then
they're really into it.
They really like it. They like the abilities that it has. And so then their character is built. They start building their character around using a trident.
Becomes Aquaman.
I guess. There are so many weird magic items in the Dungeon Master's Guide in every edition.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in other books there are also really weird magic items that you may think to yourself, when in the world would anyone want this? When would you ever buy this? When would the DM ever put it into into an encounter?
Mm-hmm.
And I think to an extent, some stuff is kind of intended to be random loot. I'm sure that a lot of those items came about in one of the developers had a use for that. So like they designed that to go in a specific situation. Yeah. And then eventually they were like, hey, let's just toss all these into the chart.
Yeah. A lot of them could just be like, references to adventures that that somebody's written or something like that. Yeah. Sure. Like they make the items with a story in mind, and not just like, oh, this would be good for like balancing reasons. Like it's like, oh yeah, we got to make sure to have one of these in there because the monk is underpowered, so they can at least grab one of these.
Sure.
Which I guess there might be some stuff in there for that reason.
I don't know. There did used to be monk-specific items.
Was it there was like a monk belt that gave you it basically just made your monk stuff like a couple levels higher or something like that. Your flurry of blows counted as 5 levels higher or something silly.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, oops, sorry. You're a little bit more powerful.
Right. So I guess I would say give randomized loot whenever you need to like just quickly come up with something. You don't really have time to pick out a whole, tailor everything to the party. Also, if you're ever just not sure what to give the party, if maybe they've got all the bases covered, all of them has a +1 weapon, they all have the relevant stat boosting items or whatever. You don't really know what else to do, but you still want to give them some sort of a reward.
Right.
Maybe roll some loot.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, they vendor it. They just sell it off, or I guess worst case scenario is it just sits in the bottom of their bag and they never use it.
I suppose, yeah, that is probably the worst case scenario.
Yeah. Although sometimes it's like a sleeper thing where it's like it's something that sits in the bottom of their bag, and then like 4 adventures down the line, they're like, wait a minute, I had this weird thing.
Yeah.
Let me try that. Let's see what happens.
I know in the Adventure Zone, they had some episodes where they would go to Fantasy Costco, quote unquote,
right?
Where people would like listeners would submit magic items, and then the players would look at the items that were available and then buy them. And there were some of those where like a player would buy an item very early on, and then in like one of the final adventures, finally find a way to use it.
Sure,
but that was largely because the players were like, okay, I have to find a way to use this. The campaign's almost over.
Yeah, that's true.
So, giving away random loot isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you don't know what to give them, hey, leave it up to the players. Let the players figure something out. That being said, I think that even randomized loot should be slightly tailored to the party, or at least vetted to the party.
Yeah.
If you are just rolling randomly, maybe you'll end up with something that you're like, oh, shoot, this destroys the encounter I was going to be putting in. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not. And you might want to just, let me just swap it out with this other thing of similar level instead.
Yeah.
I had an adventure. The only time I've really, really done random loot was I had an adventure that I was going to be running a long time ago, and I was playing with Chris.
Dang.
I was playing with Jay.
A billion swords of justice.
And I really wanted to have an adventure where the players got a bunch of rewards, but I didn't just want to give them money. I thought just giving them a bunch of money is going to be real boring. So instead what I decided was they were hot on the heels of a scam artist, and they were going to find him, solve this mystery, and then expose him. And I was thinking it would make more sense, to me at least. It made more sense for, instead of him to be carrying around, just a box full of gold or a box full of platinum or whatever, if he trades in magic items. So whatever the GP value worth of treasure I wanted them to find,
sure,
I kind of just rolled a bunch of random magic items until I had filled that GP value. And, a lot of them were kind of just vendor trash, just random magic items that I did not have any intention for them to actually use. But because of this was 3.5, because of how magic items worked, this resulted in one of the most memorable magic items we've ever had. And that is Iron Claw, the Intelligent Gauntlet of Rust.
Right.
Because I rolled up a bunch of magic items, and then there was a rule in there that like...
It was like a
it's like 1% of all magic items are become intelligent when they get created. And so I was like, okay, let me go down this list. So I rolled, and one of them was intelligent.
Yep.
It was a gauntlet of rust. So I rolled randomly to determine its alignment with lawful good. I rolled randomly to determine its abilities. It could create illusions. And like, I think it could cast like Cure Light Wounds or something. So anyway, I statted out all this
always
weird
asking
stuff.
People if they were righteous.
Well, so that's how I decided to play its personality.
Yeah.
And it became a standout magic item.
Yeah.
And it would not have happened if I was not rolling for random gear.
Sure. I mean, I feel like any intelligent item is gonna like if a magic item ends up being intelligent, it's gonna stand out.
Yeah, maybe. So if you are going to give out random loot, I would recommend tailoring it to your party at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe if you see that there's a trident, a fish command. Oh, nobody uses a trident. Well, this guy uses a hammer. What if it's a hammer of fish command? Maybe, I don't really plan on using underwater stuff anytime in the future. What if it's or if it's a hammer of subterranean command or something, like it can command burrowing. Well, I was going to say bird, but then going with a hammer. If you want to make it more like a dwarves item or something, maybe it can command small
burrowing creatures
or something like that. I don't know. A small amount of tailoring, I think, can make even the most random loot into much more memorable stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't really think that there's no right or wrong way to do it. If you want to randomize your loot, go for it. If you want to tailor your loot, go for it. I think tailoring your loot, it takes more time, but is probably going to be easier to make sure everything's balanced. Make sure that another thing about giving loot in an encounter is that, like, if a dragon, let's say you find the dragon's hoard, is the dragon going to use any of the magic items that are in its hoard?
I don't know.
Maybe, maybe not. If you know what's in there because you tailored it to the party,
sure, then
you know what the dragon can use. If it's just a whole bunch of random stuff you statted out, you might not think to have the dragon use any of it. But if you tailor it to the party, then you're much more intimately familiar with what's there, so you can make better use of it.
Sure.
Then again, maybe you'll be tempted to make everything dragon-sized, and then the party won't get to use it after all.
Yeah. So when magic items are like super duper tailored, though,
yeah, it's got their name on it.
I don't know if I like that so much. Like, I like some randomness to it, because like anything, like if I'm building on a character and I have if I have magic items specifically in mind, like, I don't know, I feel like I'd want to go out and get him. Like,
okay.
Like I would want it to be more of like a quest sort of a thing. Like,
sure,
like, or at the very least, it's something I have to like search for and buy or something like that. It's not just like having it handed to me because that's what I wanted.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
I don't know, like yeah, it's fun getting the thing that you need for the character build you had in mind, but like as far as like it's like overall like fun of the story and stuff, like it's like, oh, okay, I use I'm a dragonborn who's all about his fire breath, and I use a sword. So like the DM's like, oh, you find a flaming sword weapon, and it's like, oh, okay, obviously that was made for me. But like, it'd be really neat that like the character that's all about fire would find like an icicle weapon or something.
Okay,
and it's like,
okay.
But it like, it's like you're the only one who can use this weapon.
Yeah.
For some reason or whatever. It's like, this is for you. It's like, but it's cold.
Sure.
What am I gonna do with this? Like, but I don't know. It's I feel like it's more interesting when it's not like too specifically tailored. Like
sure.
I mean, like in that case, you're still tailoring it for somebody, but like in a less obvious way, I guess. Like
yeah. Try to be less obvious about it.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes me think about, like, I kind of do feel that if you find it, if you just like kill a random group of orcs and one of them he happens to have that sword that I really wanted.
It's the thing that I wanted in the color that I wanted it.
Right. That feels a little weird. And like thematically within the story, it makes more sense for like the knight to have have like the sword gifted to them from, their general or something that is going to be integral to your character. It does feel more appropriate for it to be something that is given to you in a less random scenario. It always feels weird when like, yeah, man, this is the thing I built my whole character around. I found it on an orc. Or, it was like just stuck in a random pile of treasure. I'm not saying it can't work. It's just it's a little bit harder to make it feel appropriate in the story.
Sure.
So that's why a little bit of tweaking can make it fit a little bit better. Maybe like, the Dragonborn finds that flaming sword, but maybe like it's a demonic flaming sword or something. So it's not necessarily directly appropriate to your character.
Sure.
Still a little weird thematically, but hey, it's useful for what I need it for or whatever. I don't know.
I feel like if you're going to tailor it, like spice it up a little bit.
Spice it up a little bit. Yeah.
And then if it's random, vet it a bit, you know, just
look it over, think to yourself, what role could this possibly play? Is anybody going to be excited by this?
Yeah. And I feel like non-magical random loot is always boring. It's just bookkeeping. It's like,
unfortunately,
30 pieces of gold, 80 pieces of silver, and 127 pieces of copper. And there's electrum. What the heck is that?
You find 3 gems. One's worth 24 GP. One is worth 16 GP, and one is worth 55 GP. And then you find a piece of jewelry that is worth 112 gold. Exactly. If you are going to give. I understand if somebody feels otherwise, but you make a great point, Jeff. It is just bookkeeping, generally speaking.
Right.
If you want it to not be bookkeeping, you got to give it a unique description and or make it into a plot hook. Like, if you give me a painting, I want to know what that painting is.
Right, yeah.
If you give me a necklace, I want there to be some sort of a signifier so I can find out who that necklace originally belonged to.
Sure. Yeah, have it have the chance of a plot hook.
Sure.
Not necessarily, like they might just go, oh, that's pretty, I'm going to sell it. Or they might say like,
yeah,
you know what, I want to find out more about this, like this person in this picture.
Sure.
Sure. And then you go, okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good piece of advice. I wasn't even thinking about non-magical loot, but...
Yeah, because it could just be boring bookkeeping. So
it can be, yeah.
So make it not that.
Right.
Best advice.
Nobody wants it to be boring bookkeeping, but I mean, hey, sometimes it is. So,
okay. Our next question comes from John Genstone on Facebook, and they ask, "How would you deal with a character goal of having a personal demi-plane?"
Yeah. So one of the players comes to you and they say, "All right, I want my character to eventually find or to eventually create or something to own a little pocket dimension."
Yeah.
That maybe like they can design themselves, maybe maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, I like that idea. Any game that has that sort of a thing to it, I always like it because it's like, oh yeah, I got this little place to myself that I could just carry with me wherever I want. I don't have to worry about it. I think it was the expansion to Baldur's Gate 2.
Okay.
That basically started you off in a pocket dimension.
Oh, spoilers, Jeff. I don't know if that's.
I mean, the enhanced editions are coming out for the Switch. Maybe people. Who
right.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. And so it's Neverwinter Nights, right?
I think so.
I forgot about that. I forgot that was coming up.
So yeah, it starts you off in a pocket dimension that ends in that's where, and like all of the NPCs that you can have in your party basically just show up
hang out there.
Show up there and they're like, I guess we're hanging out here. And what's funny is because like in the story of Baldur's Gate, you are like is it a spawn or something?
Oh, spoilers, Jeff.
You're like one of the children of this like demon lord or something.
Okay.
Or this devil or something. So like the pocket dimension is like looks like hell. Like it just looks like a hell dimension.
Yeah.
And all your friends are just hanging out there like, yep, I guess I just hang out in a demon plane now. Like, yeah. I think there's even like a section of it where you can go and like fight stuff and there's just like demons
really
and
cool.
stuff there. Well, yeah. So like pocket dimensions are always really cool. And then I think when I played Oblivion, there was a mod you can get there was a mod I put on it that gave you a pocket dimension.
Okay.
And it basically just like you cast a spell and a little door and a little portal would appear.
Yeah.
And you just walk through it and you'd be in this like tiny, and not small, but not tiny, like little house sort of thing.
Okay.
Like you couldn't, there was no outside. You were just sort of in this, and there was like everything you need, a little storage thing, a little like alchemy table, things like that. Now it got kind of cheaty to where like it was an instant cast. You can cast as many times as you want. And so like you'd be like about to die. And so I go put a portal up, run through it, go into my storage, take out all my healing potions, and step back out.
If it wasn't said that you had to find a locked door that you put a key into, and then when you're inside the room,
it looks like a
motel. Yeah.
That's
one way to do it. So I just want to say, like, I mean, I love this idea. I'm always in favor. My answer to the player would always be yes. However, of course, some qualifiers. I would definitely recommend making this a reward at the end of a quest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Possibly tied to a magic item.
Yeah.
I kind of referenced the Lost Room in that's kind of what that miniseries is about. But I would definitely want to try to find a way to make it work because I love this idea.
Ooh.
Yes. Jeff, give your hand up in the back row.
Portable hole.
Okay. That's kind of what that is.
Because you could fold it up and put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Like a pocket. If there are extra dimensions in your pocket.
Here's what you do. Just give your player a ruler. Tell them to open up their pocket and then measure it. They will have their pocket dimensions.
Right.
Actually, next question.
Yeah. No, portable hole is a nice start because, like, I did have that was the last time I played a Warforged.
Yeah,
I had him have.
Whoa, Jeff! You played a Warforged?
I had him have a portable hole.
Yeah,
and thought like, he could have like a little like workshop in there. Mm-hmm. And because he doesn't need to breathe because he's a Warforged.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he could just go in there, be working on stuff, and they can, and like the rest of the party.
Fold it up and then put it in somebody else's pocket.
Somebody else can just fold it up, put them in their pocket, and he could be, crafting magic items and stuff while they're traveling or something like that. I was like, that's
pretty cool.
I liked that idea. And like, I think when we talked about having, if we had magic items in real life, portable hole, I think is that pretty high on my list.
Sure. That's
just because of just like the extra space.
Yeah.
And like I could just have all my like basically all the stuff that's in my basement that I like in like my computer and all this other crap, like I could just have and keep with me. All I got to do is have like an extension cord,
Well, so here's the thing, and this may be a very bleak response to this, but eventually the thing's going to get full and you're going to need a second one.
Sure.
You're going to have your portable hole that you have all that stuff in, and then you got to have a second one for you to actually do your work in.
Well, right, yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, if we're talking, I get multiple portable hole, like, but what if you put that portable hole inside of the other portable hole? Oh, Gabe just got triggered.
Yeah, I know. So now there is in 5th edition D&D, there is a spell called Demiplane. It is an 8th level conjuration. It only lasts an hour per casting, but you can have it connect to the same demiplane that you created last time.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
It's kind of just like your access to the demiplane lasts an hour.
Sure.
Now, Jom actually, when sending me this question, did reference this spell, and the spell is not quite what they're looking for because the spell is short-term. The spell is fairly small. The demiplane spell, it gives you a demiplane that's 30 feet in each dimension, and I'm guessing the player wanted something bigger.
Yeah.
I am not at all against giving the player a permanent demiplane that is much bigger than this. Like, I understand there is a spell that does this, but I am all for finding a way to give them as a quest reward a permanent demiplane that they have some control over. Maybe it could be like an island, the size of an island or something.
Yeah.
I definitely think that that's something to work with the player.
Mm-hmm.
When you give it to them, maybe it is very small. Maybe it is just kind of a nondescript room like this spell creates, but give them the tools to, over time, make it larger. They can invest downtime. Mm-hmm. They can invest money. They can make skill checks, so on and so on. Make it some work, but allow them to make it bigger. Allow them to affect what exactly it is. Maybe when they first find it, it is a demonic hellscape, but then they're able to, over time, turn it into maybe like a angelic hellscape or something. Give them freedom over it eventually. Let them work towards it. But you want to make sure, because it is most likely going to be some sort of a home base.
Yeah.
You want your home base, at least to an extent, to be personalized. So maybe there is a little bit of demonic hellscape. Maybe they build a castle or something, but then looking out the window, there is still like fire off on the horizon.
Right. Yeah. It's not in a void somewhere. It's just like the corner of another plane that they have, control over.
Yeah. I just think that there are so many role-playing opportunities for something like this. There is so much potential for plot hooks. Maybe one day, the player builds a house or whatever in their demi-plane. One day there's an extra door.
Sure.
That door was not there. Or maybe their pocket dimension starts butting up against someone else's pocket dimension. And now if they walk to the edge of their pocket dimension, there's a
pocket dimension easement.
I was going to say there's like a membrane or something they can see someone else through, and they can see the person on the other side is amassing weapons, possibly to invade their pocket dimension. Sure. There's so much fun stuff that you can do with a pocket dimension.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, thinking of like if it's like the pocket dimension is like an island.
Yeah.
And then there's just like what seems like endless ocean.
Sure.
In every other direction.
So there's a copy of Endless Ocean sitting next to their Wii.
Yeah, they just get to pet fish all day.
Pet fish all day.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But like there's just an endless ocean, but then like one day, there's like a ship on the horizon.
Yeah.
Like, who the heck is that?
Yeah. So I think that honestly, I think that the spell is kind of unnecessary. I feel like the spell doesn't quite do what I think most people want out of a demi-plane spell.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm just looking at it from one point of view.
Yeah,
but
I feel like 8th level for 30 feet.
Yeah.
Again, portable hole.
I mean, it's 30 feet in every direction, so it's 60 feet.
Okay, but a portable hole is like, I think 10 feet, like they have 10 feet diameter.
I think so.
Or maybe it's a little bit more. Maybe that might be radius. But even if it's like 10 feet in diameter, I think it's like 10 feet deep or something like that. Like, it's not it's, it's definitely not 60 feet.
Yeah.
Like, you could do a lot more with 60 feet. But I feel like, because like a portable hole is not, I feel like that's only like an uncommon.
And you don't have to spend an 8th level spell slot to open up your portable hole.
For only an hour.
For an hour, exactly.
And the whole idea of the portable hole is portable, and like you could just open up whenever. You just, you lay it out like a rug.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh, yeah, there's all my stuff. But what if you lay it out on the wall? Is all your stuff going to fall over?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
Let's find this out,
all right.
people.
Yeah, here, I got one right here.
Now, here's a question about a portable hole.
Okay.
To put it on a wall, you'd probably have to like hammer it onto the wall, right?
Staple it.
Are the nails just going to fall into the hole?
So.
Then how do you do it?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess you're right. Well, because my immediate mental image of portable hole, at least for the last like 20 years, let's say,
sure,
is the hole in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, in 4th edition, that's what portable holes were.
Yeah,
they were not a storage space. They were, you put this on a wall, there is now a hole through that wall.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I always pictured it. But in like, I guess in 3rd it's more like
in every other edition, it's like it is now, where it's like
it's just like almost like
a big black sheet that opens out into an extra dimensional space.
Sure, yeah. There's a creature in one of the King's Quest games that is basically like this, like it looks kind of like a mouse, but it's like a disc.
Oh, okay.
So its body is a disc, and it's got like hands and feet and like a tail and a face like a mouse or something like that. But it's a hole in the wall where it's like it crawls on walls.
Oh.
And you can see through it, and then through it you can see through the other side of the wall.
That's kind of
so it's
horrifying.
Like a living hole. A living hole in the wall.
Wow.
Yeah, like you use it to like spy on a minotaur in a maze or something, but like it's just like it's a neat idea that like the hole, like the portable hole, is actually a living creature or something like that. Or the pocket dimension could be a living thing.
Oh boy. That's an idea right there.
Like what's the name of the ship in Farscape?
Moya.
Like
the Leviathan.
Like the idea like your ship is a living thing. It's like your pocket dimension is a living thing with like a with an intelligence of some sort.
Sure. There was in the
you live inside the brain of an aboleth.
In the 3rd edition Manual of the Planes, there was I think it was like in the back section, they had like optional planes or something. One of them was a living plane, but it was less like that and more of like, oh, the whole plane is you're just kind of like sloshing around in some creature's intestines or something.
Yeah.
It was real gross.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because you could do that too.
Yeah.
If you wanna.
And I mean, I guess in Farscape that's sort of what it is.
I mean,
but
they're walking around inside of a creature.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, that's a neat idea. So I guess the lesson here is literally and figuratively, give your pocket dimension personality.
Right.
As far as the mechanics go, because maybe that's what John was asking, like, how do I deal with the mechanics of giving my player a pocket dimension? Don't really go by anything that's in a book. What you should do is you should sit down, you should say, okay, I want to give the player a pocket dimension. This is how big it is. You just decide for yourself, this is how big it is. You decide what all of the rules are that you want to do. I would say at the beginning, make it a finite size.
Yeah.
Finite resources, maybe if the player is able to affect what it looks like or what is in there. Set those rules out as concretely as you want to early on, and then over time maybe let them change some of those.
Sure.
I would say as a general piece of advice, I would say if you're going to do this, make it so that the player has to bring everything that they want in there. Like if they want to build something, they have to bring all the materials.
Sure. Maybe
eventually their pocket dimension starts growing trees, and then they can cut down those trees and make them into wood or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, I think it would probably be best to make the player work for it as much as as much as you feel is necessary at the beginning. And then as it goes on, as the campaign nears the end, then it starts, becoming more of an autonomous thing and so on.
Yeah.
It's up to you how much it affects the game and the mechanics and everything. But I doubt this is going to be something that is going to break anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I could definitely see some players trying to use it to cheese certain things, depending on like how you let them access it.
Sure.
Like again, going back to my like Oblivion mod, where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna cast a spell that takes me there.
Sure.
And I'm gonna use it as an escape out of every situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, like try to make sure that it's not something they can use in every situation. It's not like, we've captured this guy. Oh, we can just take him back to my demi plane, which is that's a good use of the demi plane.
That's a good use of it. But they can't trap someone there because then now they've got the demi plane.
Sure,
you know what I mean? Like now they've been in my castle this whole time.
Right? Yeah, they've been touching all my stuff.
Right. I would even say like maybe if they do like trap some sort of a sentient creature on their demi plane, over time that creature starts being able to exert their will over it.
Sure.
Or something.
I was thinking maybe even like tailor it to the player, but not like in a immediately positive way. So like if that player is like playing a druid or something.
Yeah.
They find a demi-plane, sure. They go on a quest and find this thing that gives them access to this demi-plane, but the demi-plane is like this like barren wasteland.
Okay.
It's like, this is awful. So, but because they're a druid, maybe they're going to use their druid powers to like bring it back to life.
Sure.
And like start growing some like a small little grove there or something like that. So like, give them a project to work on that suits their character,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really like that. I think that's a great use for it.
Or it's like a demi-plane that sort of taps into like a magical plane or something like that. And so like, if they're a wizard or a sorcerer or something, they can like, practice their magics there and try to like study the plane a little bit on their off time, and maybe eventually gives them access to cooler, some cool magic stuff.
Yeah, definitely make the player have to work to even learn how it works.
Sure. Yeah.
I would recommend making, however they access it, have it be something that requires some amount of time, and that it's either impossible or difficult to do under stress.
At the very least, if you're looking at 5th edition, or ritual.
Yeah, I'm thinking like a ritual that takes like 10 minutes to an hour to cast.
Right.
Maybe not an hour, because like if you're just like want to pop in for a minute to grab something.
Yeah.
I think 10 minutes though, they're not going to be doing it in combat. If it is something that
I
can
left my keys in the demi-plane.
So just make sure that it's something that can't be done under stress, could be interrupted if they're like, there's enemies banging on the door or whatever. Maybe over time you can change that. Maybe, they can make a custom magic item that once per day just like bam opens up the door or something.
Yeah.
Work with the players to figure out exactly how it works and make it really fun. I love the idea of this. So whatever you can do, let it happen.
Yeah, because there's a lot of characters that I might come up with that like. It's like I would like them to have like a place of their own sort of thing, but it's not always convenient for like the storyline or something.
Sure, if the players are going to be moving a lot, then we have a home base, but it's it's like 10 days that direction.
Right, exactly. And instead of like giving them like a teleport spell or something, like have them bring a little piece of home with them. Like I kind of like that. Like I want like a demi plane that's like a little farm.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Little farm, grow some crops or something.
I think in one of the DC comic book storylines, that's eventually what Clark Kent does. He builds a ship that creates like a holodeck of a farm that he lives on when he retires. So, all right, I think that'll do it for our regular questions for today. But before we close out, we do still have our social media questions. So our social media question from several weeks ago.
Our last social media
question was, you have to turn one monster or magic item into a pumpkin spiced themed version.
Forgot about
what
this.
do you do? Do you recall if you had anything?
I don't know if I did. Oh my goodness.
I think I was thinking of like a pumpkin spice dragon, like an orange dragon.
Sure, yeah, pumpkin spice dragon.
That breathes... I don't remember what it breathes. Breathes pumpkin pie at you or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Like a pumpkin spice devil.
Sure. We got a few. Most of them are pretty short. Over on Facebook, Colin W says pumpkin despicer beast.
Oh,
you try to hit it, but you can't because you're basic.
Okay.
Jeremiah J says healing potions, of course. I think
pumpkin spice healing potion.
Pumpkin spice healing potions would be delicious.
All right.
I mean, hey, let's be honest. A pumpkin spice latte is already a healing potion. Am I right, guys? Am I right?
Gave you basic.
Dustin F says pumpkin otyug. It eats trash, excretes pumpkin pie.
Oh, I don't know if I'd eat that.
I wouldn't be eating it. We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Jason E says pumpkin spiced Merlin spoon.
What? Oh,
that's a great one. So the Merlin spoon, I don't know if it exists in 5th edition.
I don't know. Yeah,
but in 3rd and I think Pathfinder, it's a wooden spoon that you put it into a bowl and it creates like porridge.
Yeah,
that gives you all the sustenance you need. This would presumably create a pumpkin pie or something.
Right, yeah. Or at the very least, the porridge is pumpkin
spice flavored. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, I love it. Sean M says pumpkin spice mimic. It craves you.
It's like a pumpkin spice latte that just opens up a maw and eats you.
Sure. Joe H says decanter of endless pumpkin spice latte.
That's good.
Thumbs up for me right there. That's pretty good.
It would actually burn, like if you did like the geyser command word, it would it might burn people.
Deal fire damage, yeah.
Right.
Over on Reddit, Pruno says shambling mound. Here comes an entire pumpkin patch come to life to engulf you. Or you go to the orchard to pick apples and instead the trees are awakened and throw apples at you. You can also flavor the spell maze to transport you to a giant never-ending corn maze. These are all amazing.
Yeah.
That's no pun intended. I swear no pun intended, but still, these are all great. Thank you, Pruno. You've made my life better. On Twitter, Crit Academy says, bag of holding, make it a sentient jack-o'-lantern.
Ooh. Yeah.
There you go. So it's a jack-o'-lantern that you can put stuff in and it talks to you, I guess. And then Christian M says, pumpkin spice ooze.
Ooze.
So while you're being engulfed by it, like you just open your mouth and you eat your way out of it. Then over on Discord.
I'm dying, but this is delicious.
Over on Discord, Adam B says, pumpkin spice dragon because of how disturbed all the preppy girls lined up will be outside Starbucks to discover that they are actually drinking dragon secretions.
Why use that word?
It's like the Slurm episode of Futurama.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a dragon's milk.
I mean, it's still a secretion, Jeff.
I mean, but dragon's milk, well, I like dragon's milk because dragon milk is actually like a type of it's like a craft beer thing.
Oh, okay.
You know,
okay.
it's delicious.
All right. Well, anyway, however you think of it. Xanatos says potion of fire breathing becomes potion of pumpkin spice breath. Pretty good.
I like it.
I like it. The beverage tea says bag of pumpkin spiced beans. I don't have the time to modify the table, so use your imagination.
Sure. A pumpkin spiced mummy lord.
Yep.
I mean, he's already Halloween themed.
There you go. It's good all around. Stiltskin Kupo 84 says pumpkin spiced mummies? ?
Oh, mummy lord.
There you go.
Maybe that's where the inspiration was.
Xanatos has another one. Elixir of healthy pumpkin spice. Does the exact same thing, but it tastes like a pumpkin spice latte.
Sure.
There you go. King JEXE says pumpkin spice gelatinous cube. It burns but tastes good while it happens.
Yep.
The dungeon is just filled with the sweet smell of nutmeg, cinnamon, and pumpkin. Collins B says pumpkin spice goodberry. All the hipster druids are using it. And Potato Plunderer here. I would make spice of sneezing and choking, reflavoring the dust of sneezing and choking on page 166 of the DMG. The air becomes so thick with pumpkin spice that you suffocate.
Oh, man.
There you go. There you go. Got some great suggestions there. So that was last social media question. Next social media question is, have you ever made an ice or snow themed character? What did you do?
I never have. I know Steve had like his... I don't know if he was just like... I think he was like a sorcerer, but he was like tied to like silver dragons or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So he had he had a way to like change...
Malefax.
Yeah.
Yes.
He had a way to change his scorching ray into a freezing ray instead.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever actually played one, but one time I did stat out a character for a 3rd edition game that ended up not happening. There was an issue of Dungeon Magazine where they had a whole bunch of druid variants, and one of them was like an ice druid. And so all their stuff was replaced with like ice stuff.
Well, that's also cool because you normally don't play
I don't normally play druids.
Yeah.
I statted out one of those. They also had a druid that was metal themed.
Ooh, okay.
Like it was still nature. It wasn't like you didn't control machines or anything, but you were all about wearing metal, making stuff out of metal, using heat metal, chill metal, or whatever, all wall of iron, all like the metal themed spells and stuff too. So
yeah, I remember there was like the urban druid too.
Yeah, urban druid was a little different, but so I guess I'm not against druids. I just don't like nature themed stuff. I guess I don't know. Anyway, so those were our questions for this week. So before we close out, let's wind down a little bit. Let's take a deep breath. some pumpkin spice. Let's remember those who have come before us, who have maybe given their pumpkin spice that we may have a pumpkin spice themed world to live in. As we toss a pumpkin spice log onto the funeral pyre. This week's funeral pyre was submitted by who's that? Potato Plunderer.
What?
Via Discord.
Oh man.
And Potato says, I have a funeral pyre story today. It's a little different. Here's the tale of Konungur, the last great storm king.
The last potato.
The last potato. Oh, wait, we bought some more potatoes here. Okay. Legend spoke of a terrible dragon named Venra, who ruled over the western skies of Hymeria under the great mountain of Vistrin some millennia ago. Names all over. The Crimson Terror's rampage for wealth and power spread across the world like fire, striking fear into the hearts of men. Many were sent to end his reign, but none would ever return. One day, word reached the ears of Konungur, whose hatred for dragons was unparalleled among all giants. Konungur tore open the heavens and descended upon Venra with the fury of 1,000 hurricanes. The two exchanged deafening blows that cracked like thunder on the mountains. Konungur's might shattered the Aslan Peninsula, forming the Aslan Islands. Venra's fire engulfed the forests and the fields to form the Valley of Ash. Chasms opened, mountains arose, and still the battle tore across the land. Konungur's blinding rage was fierce, but Venra's cunning was fiercer. A reckless swing at Venra left Konungur open to a precise and powerful blow. The wound was devastating, but the Storm King was not finished. In a final act of sacrifice, Konungur lifted the mountain of Vistrin, pulled Venra in, and crushed them both under its weight. The tyranny of Venra was over, and Konungur would forever be known as the last great Storm King. Their bodies formed what we know now as the Grip Mountains, and some say that their bones birthed the races of the Goliath and the Dragonborn, both still at odds to this day.
Ooh.
So there you go. That feels, I'm sure it was intended to, but that very much feels like a creation story.
Yeah,
almost.
that was really good.
So yeah, good job, Potato Plunderer.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's raise a glass in honor of the last potato and the mountains that be plundered. Clink. All right, that'll do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Hoard, or stories for the Funeral Pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. For show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. Join the discussion on social media. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/interpartyconflict, on Reddit at r/interpartyconflict, on our Interparty Discord, or on Twitter at InPartyConflict for our weekly social media questions. Your answers might end up on the show. Find us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere you download podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe, or just tell a friend. If you'd like to support the show, check out the rewards at patreon.com/interpartyconflict. There's a few different tiers, so anything you can spare, even $1 a month, would go towards making the show better, and you'll get bonus content for it. Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is our YouTube channel where we play video games. We're also on Twitch at twitch.tv/FriendQuestStream. Haven't been putting much out because Griff is very busy with his work, and my computer is having issues, so once I have those fixed, I feel like I want to try and do some more streaming.
Cool.
So I guess look for that in the future.
Cool. All right. Speaking of video games, check out my side project, the Arcade Memories podcast. If you'd like to submit your own childhood memories of going to the arcade, record them or write them to me at arcadememoriespodcast@gmail.com. Also, head over to bit.ly/interpartyconflict to take a short survey about our show, what you like, what you don't like, etc. And just for taking it, you'll get 2 free printable board games courtesy of Mary and Tom over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hacker's RPG. So, Jeff, until next time,
boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew.